We have a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP waiting. He is now a quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And for that team, just yesterday, he came in relief of Anthony Richardson, who's battling a hip injury, and sliced and diced the Pittsburgh Steelers to a big-time dub in the Loud House, signifying the fact that the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Flacco. Joe, I got a little excited. I apologize for that. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man.
Hey, the accent. Where is it again? What is the accent?
It's like I think it's a Philly accent. It's South Jersey. I'm from South Jersey, but it's a Philly accent.
Have you listened back to you talking to Aditi after the game? That might have been the most water conversation I've ever heard in my entire life, Joe. In my entire life.
I don't know if anybody likes hearing themselves on camera, but I'm definitely not listening back to that.
Well, you gave a great speech about a couple different things. We're lucky to have you. Obviously, you talked about the role in which you played yesterday. It's not fun going in and playing whenever your guy goes down like that. And then you also mentioned Anthony Richardson once said that his mom is 8 days older than you. I think those kind of come together. Your relationship with Anthony Richardson, how is it? And yesterday when you get called upon, are you still worried about Anthony while you're playing, or how do you kind of lock in and being the guy in the moment?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely took me probably a quarter and a half or so to really settle in and kind of just keep talking myself down and doing those things. But listen, I think all of us in that quarterback room have an unbelievable relationship. I mean, you spend so much time together and you go through so many things throughout the course of a year, and you talk so much ball that it's hard not to have that.
Whenever you start spinning it, okay, we're watching. And obviously, we are massive Anthony Richardson fans, so he's electrifying. We all understand that. But when we see you go in, and we start seeing the spinning, and then we start seeing you see Josh Dahn for the first time, we see him go to work in a long time. You said it took you a quarter and a half. It didn't feel like that outside. Could there have been a better situation for you to have to go in the middle of a game, maybe not get a lot of reps during the week, than against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a defense that you know like the back of your hand, Joe?
Man, I mean, they have been pretty similar over the years. They have an awesome front. They get after you. They give you multiple looks on the back end. And, I mean, they've always done such a good job. But it was definitely nice to be out there against those familiar black and yellow uniforms. Not necessarily any of the same guys on the team that I played against back in the day, maybe except for Hayward. Cam over there still going strong, and then a couple guys on the sideline. But it's always a lot of fun to go against those guys. It was awesome to be at home, obviously, but the one thing that probably could have made it a little bit cooler is being back in Pittsburgh, in front of all those fans. That would have been a little bit wild. That would have been pretty wild.
Okay, so there was a third down. I think it was in the third quarter, and the Yinzers had come alive. Put them to sleep early there, 14-0. Yinzers are sitting on their hands. Then there was a third quarter in the second half, and you were going the same direction that our spot was kind of looking. And I looked around. There was a lot of terrible towels. And I was thinking about you looking around and being like, this feels like home. This kind of feels like home. Did you feel comfortable in there? In the Shane Steichen relationship that you had back at Philly, does that carry over with the offense?
For sure. I mean, Shane's obviously probably the reason that I, when the Colts reached out, that I was very willing and excited about coming here, because I felt like if I did have to go in there and play, that I'd be put in a good situation to play good ball. As far as seeing the terrible towels waving around, man, I mean, there's so many times where I've been in that stadium and it's been in the fourth quarter, it's been a TV timeout, the whole place goes black, they turn the music on. Early in my career, I think I hit my quota for sack fumbles where they returned it for a touchdown and ended up changing the game and winning. So I think at this point I've kind of gotten used to all that. So I definitely felt right at home when you see all those towels waving.
God, you look great, Joe. You look young out there. You look like a young Joe Flacco out there. Go ahead, AJ.
Joe, I guess how surprised were you in the offseason and leading up to everything I know you've said the Browns didn't really call you. Your phone wasn't ringing off the hook for offers. I guess, what did you expect going into the offseason, and how do you feel now? I mean, obviously you looked very, very comfortable when you got in there. But I assume that was a bit surprising that you weren't. I guess you didn't have more options.
You look good, Joe.
I think you definitely. I was optimistic, but I wouldn't necessarily say I was surprised about how the offseason shook out. I've been around long enough now and have been through a few of these off seasons where you really don't know what to expect, and obviously you're hopeful for something here and there, but you really can't get too high. You can't let yourself do that. So I like I said, I wouldn't say I was surprised. And then once you kind of get over that, then you just try to look for reasons to be grateful and count yourself fortunate for the situation that you are in. And then you just kind of get in your routine. That's why it's so important to have a routine, because now you kind of just distract yourself by going through your process and taking care of business like you always do. And that kind of distracts you from some of those other thoughts that might put you in a negative headspace.
You've been around to a couple different teams now. You talk about your routine. What is the routine like for the Colts building that is either similar to places you've been before or different than places you've been before? A couple big-time wins here. I'm already saying we're winning the Super Bowl, so you're welcome for the added pressure. One of the biggest shows, for some reason, we don't understand why, but is going to be pushing for a Super Bowl this year from you guys. But what is the Colts building like in comparison to other places, and how do you feel about the vibe culture that Shane has?
Well, listen, I think the biggest thing so far that we've kind of gone through this early in the season, still only 4 games in, but to start off 0-2 and now to get 2 wins under our belt, like we've definitely, I think, shown that we can be a resilient team. And I think that means a lot in this league. You're going to go through a lot of tough games and play games that are tough all the time, come down to the last couple minutes. And you have to be able to win those and push through and gain confidence in that. So the fact that we've been able to bounce back the last 2 weeks, I think that's a huge sign of what kind of team we have.
We're calloused, baby. We're calloused.
Yeah.
We're a callous team already early. Everybody's trying to get to that point. We're already there. D-Bud has a question for you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, you played and started for a long time for the same team, but now later in your career, you've had to go new places. And we see the same thing with some younger quarterbacks, Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. What is the biggest challenge as a quarterback going to a new place, a new locker room, a new system, getting acclimated to that?
I think it's a lot of stuff that you probably freak yourself out about. So the fact that I've done it a few times now, I've probably settled down a little bit. But obviously, the first time you do it, you're a little bit hesitant and you're not sure how you're going to fit in with the team, and you feel like you're starting from square one, all over. But what you find is that when you go to these locker rooms, there's so many good dudes in every locker room, and there's little differences, but there's so many similarities, and you just got to be yourself. And I think that's the best way to become part of a team. And that's been my thing. I think the fact that I have been through it the last few years has definitely, taken the burden off of my, the mental burden off of me a little bit. I kind of just walk in and I'm able to be myself. I think it is a little bit easier to be yourself when you're 39 years old, and you can tell that the young guys are kind of looking at you a little bit different just because they're wondering what the hell you're still doing out here. So it kind of just naturally creates that conversation, and it allows you to open up in a way that maybe others can't necessarily do.
Well, there's a respect,
You had Big Ben, and you had Big Ben over there yesterday. He's looking at me before the game like, what the hell are you still doing out here?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure when I got in there, he had to be thinking at some point, oh, damn, I think I need to go over there and strap up.
Well,
maybe if I go over to the sideline, I can be a part of this too,
Yeah, funny you mentioned that, Joe, because literally when they have the ball to drive down and win it at the end, Ben on the record to Tone Diggs in the guy, this is the first time I've missed it. I think he didn't know how it was going to be going into a stadium, especially on the field. I think he didn't fully know what to come, but then whenever the ball is here we go. This is to win it in somebody else's house right now. He was like, this is the first time I miss it. And on that note, Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, you got to your first 10 years of your career when you're going against the Steelers. It was Big Ben. You got to talk to him before the game. And then was it a little extra special to do it in Seven's face there, knowing that he was in the building? By the way, he spoke.
He spoke very highly.
He did speak very highly of you, but he did say a couple times that Joe's old. What's he doing out there?
Yeah, and did you talk after game? There's another.
I did. I saw him in the tunnel after the game. It was good to see him. Listen, we just know each other from playing, obviously. I haven't really spent time with him off the field, but the one thing I'll say is he looked great. Mm-hmm. I kind of figured that maybe at this point, maybe he'd be really, really big, but man, he's taking care of himself. He looks really good. Listen, it's always cool to see guys that you've either played with or played against. I mean, you've shared that field with them, and so many special games against that team. Obviously, when I was in Baltimore, but there's definitely just a connection there that you really can't explain strictly because we've played each other so many times.
Yeah, he said the same thing. And when you went in, he's a fan of Anthony Richardson, obviously. He follows the game very well. When you went in, there was a moment where Ben was like, I don't know if this is, I don't think He really, like there was like a moment of like I don't know how I'm supposed to,
Still?
I don't know if it's good. I don't know how to. It was. I want to let you know, Colts fans. I think maybe haven't followed the Joe Flacco journey as closely as like all of us had, and maybe they don't pay attention to outside the Colts or the AFC South much. But it was like I don't think a lot of Colts knew maybe fans whenever you went in, they're like, okay, we got what second oldest guy in the league right now. Okay, going in there. How's this going to go? Did you feel that place get behind you though, Joe? They were behind you yesterday, brother.
Yeah, it's cool. It's that that is part of what makes it fun. I mean, obviously, the fans are what really does make this game, and sometimes they're not happy, but man, when you do feel the love and you can be excited about going out there, it does make a difference.
Did you think to yourself, wow, this is the Loud House yesterday? Did you think that to yourself?
Dude, it gets going in there. And the last couple of weeks has been a little bit confusing at times, but I'll give it to our fans, because we've had Chicago and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh fans are everywhere. Chicago's coming from a couple hours north, but I'll give it to our fans, man. They made sure that,
hell yeah.
Even though we had some opposing fans in there, they made sure that they rose up and let them know whose house it was.
Yeah, You're damn right. And I don't appreciate the coverage. I got a chance to watch the game back late in the fourth quarter. Whenever you're in the suite, you don't get to see the TV copy. Mm-hmm. Fourth quarter, they were finding every Steeler fan they could find. They found Nick's wife a couple times. They found Nick Carly's in there, obviously twirling the towel. They were zoomed in on groups of Steelers fans in there. They're like, Steelers fans are coming alive. I didn't like that either.
Well, it wasn't hard to do.
Yeah, there were.
Where were you guys the first three quarters?
Well, when you go down 14-0 pretty quick, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That was an awesome start. That was an awesome start for the Colts. I have a question. We have a question, actually, about, I think, something we saw on the internet. Go ahead, Con, man.
Yeah, Joe, what's going on with these new cleats? Is this something that is kind of the future of footwear when it comes to the NFL? And also, how do you feel about the coconut husk? Obviously, a lot of conversation about that turf at Lucas Oil.
Slippery track.
Footsteps.
Oh man! Listen, the cleats. I think it's an awesome idea. I think there needs, with all the turf that we're playing on, and just the variety of different fields that we have to play on. I think it's going to be tough to convince everybody to go to one field. I mean, especially in the near future. And then, I mean, listen, we're just NFL athletes, so I think as far as these cleats go, I mean, there's a whole market. I mean, how many kids play sports? I mean, I look at girls. I think I heard it in the stadium. The girls' flag football is like the fastest growing sport in the country. I mean, all these and girls are a little bit. I think they're more at risk naturally just because of their hips and knees of tearing their ACL and lower body injuries. So I think this is an awesome idea to kind of help, create a little bit more player safety and something that they can feel confident about. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's a Baltimore company. Dennis Pitta and Todd Heap are involved. The cleats are comfortable, so for me, it's no skin off my back. It's not like I'm getting paid by anybody anymore. So it's been a cool little thing, kind of just trying something new out and seeing how it goes.
That's bullshit. Let's get you some marketing deals back.
Yeah,
okay?
come on.
Yeah, let's get Joe Flacco marketing deals back. Can you explain a little bit more about the cleat, though? Because I don't think we fully understand what it is.
Yeah, what's different about them? What's different?
Well, it's just it's the bottom. It's not necessarily the cleat. It's the technology that's in the bottom. So in terms of how it scores in terms of like release when you're planting your foot, the cleats do shift a little bit. They spin a little bit. I think the bigger thing is the fact that they shift a little bit. So when you put your cleat in the turf, especially for these skilled positions, these DBs, the receivers, all these guys that have to make quick stops and starts, it's taking some of the force out of that. And you can't feel it when you're wearing it. So it's not really taken away from your performance. It's just giving you that little peace of mind that maybe some of these non-contact lower body injuries, can be diminished, kind of diminished a little bit.
Joe, an athlete like me, I cut on a dime. Mm-hmm. So I don't have time for my cleats to be wiggling.
At all. Spinning.
It's not.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, you don't feel that at all. You don't feel it.
Joe, did you see your calves in that photos we were posting? Did you see with the photos?
Please don't bring that back.
You look absolutely jogged, buddy. Just look at jogged.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Those hammies.
Wow. And then the what's the thing behind the kneecap there? The papayapis.
The papadius.
The papadius.
Yep.
The papadius.
The papaya.
Whatever it is. Anyway,
whatever it is.
Yeah, you feel good, Joe? Body feels good. Has to. Looks great.
It does. It feels good. I can't complain.
Okay, Anthony Richardson, hip injury, diagnosis. You're just going about business as usual. I'm here for whatever you need.
That's right. Listen, you have to. That's the only way you can approach it. Otherwise, you just kind of psych yourself out, get yourself too high, too low. You just got to kind of take it as it is, and go out there and play if that's what's needed.
We appreciate you, man. It was fun to watch you yesterday. It was a nice trip.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was fun to be out there.
It was a nice trip down memory lane yesterday, especially with Ben Roethlisberger staying right there, and then my dad's best friend's in there. So it's like literally and then Joe Flacco's throwing the ball. It was like it was a cool moment
again.
Yeah, it was a really cool for my family. It was a really cool thing yesterday. So we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, fellas.
We need to get some of those moving cleats. It might slow me down. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I need to slow it down.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Too explosive.
Too much speed.
Maybe that's
a thing.
Ryan Williams is wearing.
You think he was wearing those when he was doing
That
that?
little pirouette midair, land on the. Bing, bing.
You watch any college ball, Joe? You watch any college ball ever?
Very little. I mean, I did turn on I was over here Saturday night. Yeah, after our meetings, we turned on that Georgia-Alabama game. But I actually went to bed before the game actually came on for real.
That's cool.
That's a good.
I missed the whole second half.
I appreciate
He's a
that.
pro.
Hey, I like where your head's at. Never mind. Don't watch anything, okay? Other than fucking film. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe.